So, did Hekia Parata jump or was she pushed? This is politics. It's an obvious question. I asked it of our political editor, Jane Patterson.
Look, John, there's no evidence at all that she was pushed out of this job. Of course, you never know what conversations that the Prime Minister has with ministers, but from what she says, she informed John Key at the start of the year after talking about it with her family over the holidays. She just says that it's time for her to move on and hand over the reins. But often we actually don't really learn the true reasons ministers leave until after they've gone. But in this case, no evidence at this stage pointing to anything other than her own decision.
I guess it's a circumstantial case. John Key has these fairly unsentimental chats with people at about this time in the cycle, doesn't he? But if you were deciding to leave, you would probably do so at about this time in the cycle too, right?
That's right, and I think also you have to look at the performance of ministers. Now, she certainly had a really few tough, bumpy years when she took over, and in particular, the failed attempt that really was quite a disaster to try to increase the size of school classrooms, and that not only invoked the ire of teacher unions, but also parents around the country, and National had to back down. But I think it's fair to say that since then, even though she's carrying on with a number of changes, she's probably performing much more solidly. Her whole approach in terms of communication, I think, is a lot better. So I would not have singled her out as a minister that you sort of thought would be ready for the chopping block. And I think this announcement has probably come as quite a surprise, particularly because she still is in the area of quite a lot of reform, major reform in terms of funding and how schools are run. And you'd usually expect ministers to stay on and see that through.
Yeah, certainly the last time she was on Checkpoint, which wasn't long ago, she was talking about a work in progress as if it was very much her intention to finish things off. The question then becomes, who picks up the baton and runs with it after her? People are already suggesting Stephen Joyce. Have you got any ideas who the next Minister of Education will be?
Look, not at this stage. It is quite early days. It will have to be a senior minister. Nikki Kay, who's the Associate Education Minister, of course is off at the moment as she gets treatment for breast cancer. I think she potentially would have been in the running. Also, a bit of talk today about Bill English. He has long held an interest in the education portfolio. My feeling is he's probably much more valuable to the Prime Minister in his role at the moment in Finance Minister and responsible for Housing New Zealand. But look, John Key has surprised us in the past with decisions about who he does decide to give these big portfolios to. In fact, Hekia Parata was a bit of a surprise when he gave her this portfolio way back in 2011. So it's pretty hard to judge at this stage who might take up some of those senior roles. We do, though, expect that there would be an election year reshuffle probably at the start of next year, and that will really give a flavour for the cabinet that Mr Key will want to take into the election campaign.
Our political editor, Jane Patterson.